This has been a rather busy week, I have to say, so I'm going to try a couple things that are a little bit different. But first of all, I just want to emphasize tonight's clue, usurpation. You'll find usurpation popping its ugly head up every so often. Now, if you're a little unsure on usurpation, it's just a form of theft. Stealing your rights, stealing what you're entitled to, stealing what's supposed to be a part of your life and your system. All right, the first thing I want to get onto is a set of what I'll call quick comments. I have a friend, actually he's my tennis coach, conservative, and I had talked with him about avoiding getting the mRNA vaccines. Unfortunately, he gave in, his wife gave in. Thank God they've had no ill effects so far. I found it odd that as much as I was educating him on the risks associated with the mRNA vaccines, you know what, he just wasn't listening. But today, guess what happened? He leans over and he tells me about how bad these vaccines are, and he swears he'll never take them. It took his wife finding out something about it, so he relates the same data to me that I've been relating to him, and now suddenly he gets it. Maybe this is a sad comment on my persuasive powers, but it also tells me that the process by which people wake up to these things follows its own path, its own process of development. Senator Murphy and gun regulation. What a jerk. Wow. Wow, what a jerk. Okay, so you think you're going to save thousands of lives with this legislation. How about this, okay? Every time you pass another set of gun laws, you don't enforce them, all right? And then you come back later and you try to take more people's rights away, and you don't enforce those until what? Until you get what you really want. So I, for one, am not fooled. Third thing I want to bring up is, and it's a special mention at the beginning of this show, is Jack Lang. Remember the name, Jack Lang, okay? I think it's 504 days. He's still in prison. Okay, and for what? For what? There was a, we have the link up, and he also talked about this documentary which just came out. It's called j6truth.org. I'm going to be mentioning it again. You must see that documentary and you must listen to his interview. It may be an hour long, but quite frankly, it puts everything into perspective, everything. So, and lastly, I just want to mention that the prosecution of those people who committed election fraud in this nation is inching closer and closer. Hope to do more on it. Okay, let's get on to the good stuff. All right. j6truth.org. Okay. The leads story here is the first breeze of the hurricane has arrived. Remember that Jamie Dimon, the CEO of, I believe, Citibank, had said, uh-oh, the economy really looks bad, a hurricane is coming. Well, he kind of tried to soften his comments and say, well, you know, sometimes hurricanes can change direction, sometimes the winds can kind of disperse, so, you know, maybe we won't get hit with a hurricane. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it sure ain't looking like that now, is it? We've had the stock market take another plunge. It's approaching the 30,000 mark. It's official that once again we're in bear market territory. And all of this is overshadowed by the same things that we've been talking about over and over again concerning inflation and the cost of gas and all the other problems that come with it. Well, the message that I want to send to you is it's going to get even worse, all right? A lot worse. Just to give it in perspective, at the beginning of the year, I created my own model for the stock market. I follow the Dow, and I predicted that the bottom of the market would be 22,000. Okay, we're now heading for 30,000, so 22. That seems like a bit of a ways to go, but here's the problem. When we get to 28,000, which will be sooner than you think, now that's going to start to look pretty real. In any event, all of this gets into another thing I wanted to bring up as I thought about this. It's called the two-step process to destroying the economy. I don't know, can you see that, Eric? Is that okay? Okay, the two-step process, to really simplify it, is that first you screw up the stock market, then you screw up the economy. Now, I should point out that the screwing up of the stock market has been going on since at least 2008. The way the Fed has racked up money, the quantitative easing and all these other good things have helped to inflate the asset values in the stock market beyond anything that's realistic. So as a step towards fixing this, right, at the beginning of the year, people were saying, wait a second, all these speculative stocks that are losing money, why are we investing in them? We should be investing in stocks that make money. Okay, so that preceded the long, slow march of the stock market down to where we are now. Okay? So that's that part. As for the economy, overspend, maximize debt, and create massive inflation. And of course, act like Joe Biden and fail to fix anything. So another way to think about this is that by ruining the system for capital formation, that's the stock market, now you're going to impair the ability for the economy to recover. All right? I hope that's clear to you, but this is my sense of what's happened now. And they're only just beginning, okay? And Connecticut is going to be a bigger victim of this than the other states. We're economically far worse off than Socialist Governor Lamont would ever admit. Okay, the second thing, oh, this is so sweet. Anybody who followed this, there was a group of rather suspicious-looking patriots in Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, who were caught inside a U-Haul rental truck, about 20 or so of them. Yes, and I'll tell you, I think they call themselves the Patriot Freedom Group or something, and they perhaps something to do with the Proud Boys. You got to be kidding me. I have at least a half dozen different gestures to order or offer up, but I'm not going to do any of them. Okay, dressed all the same, and you want to know the funny part? The color of the, I call it a blouse that they were wearing, okay, was a sort of a weird kind of steel, Prussian steel blue. It's the same color that the FBI wears. Okay, so then the best part was the picture where the guy was getting arrested. He had a megaphone. And what did the megaphone say? Oh my goodness, the megaphone had on it FBI. Now let's see if I can find a picture. There you go. I get a good look at that. There, hone in on that. Eric, see it? Yeah, okay. So the problem is some people say that above it there's a strip that says abolish FBI. Now, the way these guys are dressed and the way they acted, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Very easy to make a strip, just tape it on there, and then when you're done, just tape it off. So I would want to take a closer look at that. All right, so the more you look at this, the phonier it looks. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Meantime, so here you go. Is this the Connecticut Mirror again, I think? Connecticut Mirror is really awful paper, just awful. So the title here, as governor race heats up, Lamont campaign seeks to cast Stefanowski as too extremist for Connecticut. Okay, my problem is that you have a governor, when you look at his background, has deep socialist roots, and he's calling Stefanowski extreme? Are you serious? Well, apparently they are. So guess what, folks? This article, if you happen to read it, is just another example of cheap campaign rhetoric, okay? And they're picking on, the typical issues. So we'll be pushing it back against this, but just know that everybody's playing by the same playbook, and it's stupid. It's such a lack of imagination. Okay, the next one, Google suspends engineer who claims AI is sentient. Okay, this story by itself may not seem that important, but it's actually more important than you would believe. The problem with this gentleman is that as he was working with a program called Lambda, the interactions he was having with it was making him think more and more that this, quote, program had developed its own consciousness, essentially. To put it another way, the program had developed the ability to think for itself, all right? Now, if anything is a measure of sentience, that would be it. So, okay, so Google fires him. The only problem is this isn't the first time okay? Other engineers are beginning to say these things. There was a case about 2 or 3 years ago where people felt they had this impression that these two AI programs are communicating with each other and they're developing their own language to communicate with each other. That's pretty wild, okay? So you have to bundle together all these little pieces here. Nothing proves anything. None of them are really significant, but taken together, they point in a certain direction, and we need to pay attention. All right. And speaking of paying attention, all right, so you got a credit union in Massachusetts, just decided to expand into Connecticut, and you want to know what business they want to get into in Connecticut? That's right, they want to fund pot shops, pot farms, pot pharmacies, you name it. At what point does the sense of insanity begin to creep in here? But of course, the issue here is, from their point of view as a bank, a credit union, they see money to be made in doing this. Well, how is that possible? Because the state of Connecticut is making it possible. You may have missed the little pop song, the campaign pop song that's associated with Lamont, but he's tried to shove it away, because there's a line in this jingle online that says, pot is cool. Yeah, right, pot is cool. So, so we call it cannabis banking. What do you think? Cannabis banking? Cool. All right. Now, another comment here. So, gun reform deal reached in the Senate with Murphy and the others, right? The hot issue here is, all right, let me just one paragraph quickly. The bill includes support for state red flag laws, tougher criminal background checks for gun buyers under 21, and a crackdown on straw purchases by people buying weapons for others who do not pass a background check. Okay, straw purchases, old news. Where have you been? Okay, this is a classic example of not enforcing the laws on the books. And it's too brief here, but background checks on gun buyers under 21. Come on, this is weak. All right, you want to do background checks, thorough background checks on everybody, and you're going to say that the system we have is no good? Well, you better make a case for that, because millions and millions and millions of people have been able to pass these background checks because they are law-abiding citizens. The red flag law is another matter. Okay, this is disturbing, and it needs to be fought. So we'll leave it at that. So the key point here is, the question is, what's new? This bill, if anything, as some political commentators have noted, they're trying to get this done, shove it off the table, and get back to dealing with the election as soon as possible. Now, an excellent think piece here by Jeffrey Tucker from the Brownstone Institute is the origin and operation of the administrative state, all right, better known as pinheads in control. The key is, I just get this point out. When President Garfield was assassinated, he was shot by a lawyer who felt he was owed a patronage job by Garfield. So because of that, the Pendleton Act was passed, which created the civil service system that we have today. There have been further enhancements on it, but that's basically where it started. So he goes through, he gives his sort of analysis of the situation. But Jeffrey, I'm going to have a response to this. I just want you to know. So look forward to it. Now, wait, am I on track here? Let's see here. 7. Wait, what happened to 8? 8 was Street State, Proud Boys protest. Oh, yeah, Proud Boys. Okay, just I have to mention in passing, Proud Boys broke into a get-together, shall we say, at a local public library. There was another one of these pride celebrations where drag queens were proselytizing little kids. So the Proud Boys show up to put a stop to it, and people thought, well, gee, that's a hate crime. Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, the link is up for that. All right. How about if we remember the name Amanda Duarte? Okay. And I'm going to read her very brief Twitter quote where she said, "I do wonder how these white supremacist lawmakers would feel if their little white daughters were raped and impregnated by black men." Do we see anything here that's a little in poor taste, perhaps? All right. Well, yes, there was pushback, so Amanda did have to apologize. But I just want to point out that we've seen other comments like this in different places and times over the last year. So there's something here that's seriously wrong, and it needs attention. All right, how's that for a simple send-off? Meantime, Connecticut Commie of the Week is Amanda THIGPEN, or Mary THIGPEN. Now, Mary THIGPEN is not a prominent figure. She's described as a union activist in New Haven and also in New Jersey. But her role is that she helps to distribute the People's World newspaper. So that's the leading communist house organ in the country, People's World. All right. So this article, to which this links, is rich with information. I encourage everyone to read it. You got to keep up to date on who the communists are, basically. But the highlight is that they managed to raise $93,000 for their paper in May, which I find surprising. It's amazing. Anyway, so the last part I want to get to is the calls to action. Oh, also, I got to put in a plug again for Sally Fink's Connecticut Sentinel. That's right. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, subscribe. Tell your friends. We're looking for people who want to help distribute the paper. This is a growing phenomenon, and you want to be a part of it. Just saying. All right. So the other part is again j6truth.org. You definitely have to go see that. And let's see here. Oh yes. Even though one of our friends is not here, her name is Gila Eban, and she had been pushing the idea of letter writing campaigns to political officials. So I said, well, that's a start. And what I want to we'll talk about it later, but we need to expand it. So I am inviting you too to become a pen power patriot. All right, a pen power patriot. You too can do all kinds of great things on behalf of the conservative movement by becoming a pen power patriot. And last but not least, so Wilm Donath is definitely running for the 148th District State Rep spot, and we would love to have people join us in this venture. We need volunteers of all kinds for fundraising, for door knocking, for phone calling, you name it. So METAQUBIT, METAQUBIT at AOL.com. Just email me and we'll get you started. All right. That's it. Thank you very much, folks. All right. All right.